Yourself to our readers.
My name is Granvell Carlson. What would you like to know?
Just you can just tell us anything else you feel you would like people to know about yourself.
My name is Granvell Carlson. I am an ex-offender. I'm currently still on parole. People sometimes make the wrong choices and then they find themselves in the right places. I found myself in the right place today. But that's basically what I'm about.
Thank you. Can you please talk about what influenced you to join a gang when you did?
Well, basically, you see, the problems that in that time in the 90s that we had very much social ills in our communities because gangsters and drugs and domestic violence is a very big thing. And I grew up in foster care. My mother actually gave birth to me while she was in prison. So, yeah, I'm a prison baby. And then what happened in that time, they had like the colored affairs. Then they would, I was placed in foster care, and I was living with people, and this woman that was having me, she had other kids as well that was living in foster care, so she would probably get a grant for us. So I grew up in that fashion, and in the household that there was, rejection plays a very big role in my life, and I'm just trying to get that away. Because I've been rejected most of my life, still got the same rejection from my father and my mother. And then I just, you see, love was actually the main thing why I decided that I want to go to the streets and just start getting involved. I would use my intelligence for stuff like that, for gang activities. You want to feel wanted, you want to be part of something, and then that happened, but it wasn't merely about friends, it was more about my social problems that I was in. I was looking for a way out, and I was actually looking for love in all the wrong places.
Thank you. What happened when you got arrested and imprisoned?
I got arrested in 1998, I can still remember the date, it was on the 23rd of March 1998. I got arrested for murder and robbery. And I was tried in the High Court, Cape Town High Court. I got sentenced to 25 years. And then I went to prison. The first prison I actually went to was Drakensberg. And then after that I went to Malmesbury. After Malmesbury I went to Brandvlei. After Brandvlei I went to Worcester. And then I came back to Portsmouth again. That's where I actually started. And then I was charged.
Okay, thank you. At what point did you decide to turn your life around?
One day I picked up a newspaper clipping while I was sitting in prison. It was in 2001. I used to have this gang called the Cat Pounds. It was a very big gang. It was in 8 ghettos. I used to lead these gangs with other people. Most of them are dead today. I lost 40 friends just being in prison for 13 years. And then I picked up this newspaper one day, and then I read in the newspaper that 19 Cat Pounds got killed. And then I referred to this guy's name is Welcome Big Boy. And I said to him, you know what, no, I started this gang just to think 19 kids died and there's blood on my hands. And from there onwards I decided that I'm going to start making something out of my life. Because I don't want to go like the same path, even though I've invested all my time in gang activities. I've been using my qualities, I've been using my intelligence for all the wrong reasons. So that's why I decided that I want to make a change and start changing the lives of youth with music.
Thank you. And how old were you when all this started?
I was 17 at that time when I got incarcerated, and I came out when I was 31.
Wow, thank you. Have your former gang group members tried to lure you back to being a gangster, and what was your response?
To an extent that never happened. Do you know why? While I was in prison, I already stated my case in prison. I spoke to the generals and I spoke to all these people and told them, listen, this is what's going to happen now. I'm going to do this with my life now, and I cannot offer my life up to these type of activities that is causing our communities to look like there's a lot of havoc and stress and stuff like that. I want to start developing these people, and I'm going to do it because when we started being part of the number, I'm a 26 member, and you get the 27s and the 28s. Now out of that, they teach us one thing when they recruit us, is that we don't have a right. We never had that right. It was something that was in the apartheid era already, because the number comes out of the apartheid era, and we didn't have a right. That was the main reason why we became part of these organizations, because we didn't have a right. We didn't have the dignity. We didn't have, there was no value put to our lives as human beings, because in prison it's not about, your rights becomes your privileges. So then I just decided that at the end of the day, if that is how it's going to be, then I want out of that. And I will stand up yet still for people's rights. I will yet stand up for the youth in sense of getting their music out there, getting their social lives in order so that they can have more etiquette, more morals, more principles to these things, and start looking at things differently. Because these gangs are really influencing our kids on the streets with their languages, with their way of fashion, with the way of how they teach kids to be entrepreneurs by smuggling drugs on the corner, etc. So that is the reason for that. But they have never come thus far in order to recruit me, because they have utmost respect for me. Because not just by what I'm doing, it's the person that I was while I was inside, because I was fighting for human rights on a constant, on a daily basis. I got beaten for it already by wardens. They threatened me already to send me away and lock me up and stuff. I went through all that stuff. Even fight for their bedding, you know, like Nelson Mandela would do. I would go to the extreme. I would go to the extreme in fighting for people, and that is where I started learning. And willing to die. If you're not willing to die for something, you're not put to learn. So they have never actually come that far in order to recruit me. They will always respect me for my choice that I've made, because they know at the end of the day that it's all about development and not breaking people down.
Thank you. Do you still encounter people who struggle to believe your story, and how do you handle that?
To an extent, you know, when you start off first telling people where you come from and what and how your background looks like, they always tend to they're very skeptical. But your work shows for that in what you do, not just in the community, but as an individual as well, in the work that you do as an artist. So they tend to relate with me through my lyrics and through my music that I make. So they get a better understanding what type of person I am. But when they meet me in the flesh, they actually like me a lot, because I'm very humorous and I always put things into perspective, always got something to say, always try to guide them, etc., etc. So they're always intrigued to know. But when it comes down to people not believing in your story and how I handle it, I had like very bad relationships with females, especially when the mother starts to find out, the father starts to find out that, yeah, this guy's been in jail before, etc. The judgment are clouded, and then you find that it causes problems between. That was the only problem that I encountered. But further on, I have lunch with plus people, I talk to plus people, and they actually they embrace me. So for me, the people that embraces me is the people that I give more credit for. If you feel at the end of the day that you don't want to accept me, that's your choice.
Thank you. What are you currently doing? Are you studying? Are you working? What are you busy with right now?
Okay. Currently, I'm busy with a lot of things. Number one, I work for the Department of Cultural Affairs and Sports. That's number one. I work with all the youth on the Cape Flats with that pertains just theatre. I teach kids how to sing properly, teach them diction, pronunciation, breathing, teach them how to stage performance, teach them how to present themselves when they have auditions, etc. And then in my own capacity, I'm currently busy with my album now. So my producer is here today, Big Bass Productions. That is the production. We're just trying to bring a new flavor to hip hop, because we think hip hop has become very fake. So we bring the root back to it. So yeah, to an extent, I really want to get this album out now. We're busy talking with major record labels in order to get the licensing deal. And by that as well, I do administration, artist registrations and stuff like that. I even do the company stuff of it, even the SARS stuff. Even when it comes down to the tax stuff, the dividend taxes and all those things, people want to know it. So I deal with that as well, helping and consulting people in how to go about the music industry when it comes down to the administration side of it, so they can get a better perspective how the industry works, because the industry is not just about the artists, it's about the business. Because if the business is not there, nothing will function. So I work on that with various people, even with social development organizations, helping register that, companies, in either way that you want to go to, events companies, it doesn't matter, I do that. So I consult people around about a lot of things, even about television. If you want to get on the television, how do you go about it, the radio stations, how do you go about it, what is it they look for, the criteria, how to go about when you address big record labels, etc. So that is the one thing that I'm doing. And then the artscape thing is, we have to take the show to the road now. Meaning we had 3 standing ovations in artscape. And we had a nice breakfast with the minister as well. So they were quite impressed. And then I do the social side of it as well. I like mingling up with kids, especially youth, in issues, social problems. While working on a production recently, I came to find what the problem actually is amongst us as artists. They got the talent, but when you find socially they are not on par. So you need to really intertwine in that and getting them out of it. And I've done that with a lot of artists, especially young artists, you know, those that live in the rural areas. They got fantastic voices, they got everything that they want, but there's something holding them back. So we work on that, how to get it out of them so they can be that star that they want to be, and give them an opportunity in creating jobs for them and creating security for them. Because our youth nowadays, and even government as well, they're not pumping enough money into youth, even though they're saying that, but the infrastructure and the resources is not showing up. So we have to come up with other alternatives. It's like one of these presidents said once of America, is that if any form of government, if it becomes destructive, we have the right as the people in order to abolish it or come up with new alternatives in order to start a new government. But we're thinking about starting a new government in music.
Great, thank you. What advice would you like to give to the youth out there who aspire to be successful or change their lives in the same way that you did?
First of all, anyone will tell you hard work, which is the truth. But because we teach people how to be entrepreneurs, we tell them it's 90% creativity and 10% hard work. If we would have the same information as what a councillor has, or what the minister has, or what any director that is sitting in big companies, if we had that information, we would probably be something better today. And that is the thing, because our right to access to information is being limited. And through music as well, that's the reason why Liquid Productions is incorporating this thing and emphasizing on this thing, that we should start teaching our kids how to be entrepreneurs. And that is the way how we forward, and that is where we need to start. So if I would tell any kid how to go about this thing, I would tell him, my friend, the first thing you need to do is start doing your research. Look at your product, listen to radio stations, look at where the industry is moving to, find out how you can go about it as you as an artist, how you can get into the music industry. Because paperwork is something that is very important. Even as an artist, I need to have my paperwork in order. Tracks needs to be registered. You need to be registered. You even need to get paid for intellectual properties. You need to get paid for everything that you're doing. Even if you're a staff writer, how do I go about it? And even if I'm writing songs, how do I get to a major record label? How do I go about this, about these things? That is basically what I would tell any child out there. If you were looking for a way forward, the trick in this thing is you should be slow to speak and quick to listen, because it's music.
Great, thank you. But anything else though that you would like to advise, say, the youth out there?
On a social point, yes. You know, South Africa, America, England, everyone around the world's got the same social ills. They got that social ills. Drugs is a problem, teenage pregnancy is a problem, gangsterism is a problem, domestic violence is a problem. People don't know how to reconcile with each other, so there's conflict constantly. So, if I would say to any youth out there is the following: number one, I have to tell you point four. Number one, gangsterism. I myself come out of a history like that, and I know exactly what these people are thinking, because I've been deeply involved in this, even in prison and outside. I know exactly what they're thinking. I know exactly the strategies that they are using in order to recruit these people. I know exactly how they go about it, or that even when it comes down to putting the gun into this person's hand, and how they go about it in doing that. So when I talk to the youth in gangsterism, I always tell them this: that it is very stupid to fight another man's war, and you don't know where this war is coming from. Most of these things that is happening on the Cape Flats it comes out of prison. Prison is the core of everything, because these people on the streets is using the same structure as what the prisons are using with the number, and they're implementing it on the streets. Now these kids are so intrigued in these things, they find themselves being caught in it, because poverty is the main thing. That is the reason why I'm talking on job creations. Poverty is the main thing. Poverty causes these kids, in order to look at, they don't have clothes, they don't have nice shoes, they don't have money in their pockets, they have nothing to eat at night. So the social ills draws these people, and these gang bosses and drug dealers, they thrive off that, and they draw you into it. So you must be very careful as a child, as a youth, in order to what you take on as what people are telling you, because you might be eating out of the devil's hand and you don't even know, because that person is giving everything that you need, but at the end of it comes with a price. That's the gangsterism. Now we're going to move to the teenage pregnancy. Teenage pregnancy. We're working with a lot of schools, and why I'm so focused on teenage pregnancy as well. You see, teenage pregnancy causes the following. Teenage pregnancy, if you look at teenage pregnancy, you look at education. Most teens get pregnant on school. So, meaning we're actually doing a survey on that and looking at the stats, so I can basically just find out how we can look at that problem and change it into something positive. Usually sex, they don't talk about it in school, but we have it on televisions, we there on a day, we can download anything, the internet is full of pornography, all that stuff. We hear about cases every day about stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we as individuals or as teachers, when we stand in front of these children, we want to make sex look like it's in the dark. We don't want to talk about it. Now, you need to educate these kids, because teenage pregnancy comes, that is just plain and simple being irresponsible. So we don't teach them the responsibility of it. The responsibility of the side is we need to do it at our homes. We need to start doing it in classes. Even when I'm on productions, the first thing I talk to these kids, I tell them, listen, before we're going to go anywhere to the hotel now, I need to talk on teenage pregnancy. Because they have relationships with each other. But they don't know the responsibility that comes with that, because everything costs money. That was, and then the other one was drugs. Drugs is the biggest problem we find in the entire world. Like meth is a problem in Cape Town. Meth is a problem in America as well. America's got the worst. America's got it more worse off, because they got a lot of states, and there is more meth running in their states than what is running here in South Africa. So basically, if I would take the comparison between the two, it is a problem, yes. But what is the problem? Why do people use drugs? Number one, recreation. We don't have recreation in our society. Our kids, the kids themselves don't have childhoods anymore. Because what they notice is people running around with guns, people dying. They notice funerals, they notice my father is using drugs and why doing that. That becomes mannerism. So that is the issue we attack when it comes to the drug, because it is a pandemic to me. It's not if it's a pandemic to me, because it is within the households that's bringing these things, and at the end of the kid is finding a way to channel what he's feeling, and then he channels it in the wrong way. They channel it in drugs. You use drugs for two reasons. You either use drugs for fun, or you use drugs because you got problems. So we just need, so we differentiate between the two. If it is a drug problem like that, we know. If it is a drug problem where the person is doing it for fun, then we know exactly how to address the issue. But it's more like we need to have more recreational activities within our communities, because we don't have that, and kids look for other alternatives. It's either they're going to start joining a gang, or they're going to start using drugs.
Thank you very much, Granvell.